Hello. Okay. So, hi. Sorry. There's so much noise. My computer is on life support. So, I had to charge it, and this is where we are now. So, I'm going to take this out because I think I broke or wounded my microphone stand. So, it's kind of like not attached, so I have to hold it like it's like this, and this is supposed to be in here, so it's not really working. So just bear with me. But hello, how are we? I feel like I can't say that it's been a long week. It actually has been, but I hope everybody's having a good Wednesday. It's Wednesday, nope, Thursday. So don't listen to me. I was on last night doing a saxophone jam session. If you guys missed that, you can catch that every Wednesday. Um, on my main page, Lana and Pure, at 8. And I do a different song playing the sax, and I teach you the notes, breathing techniques, and how to read the music for the song and things like that. I'm still learning. So, like, I'm not like completely perfect. Nobody is, but, I practice daily and things like that. So it's fun. This is the third song. Originally, I was going to do a song last night, but last week was very hectic and I didn't really get a chance to practice as much as I would have liked. So I didn't really want to perform because not that I couldn't do it, cold turkey, but me personally, I'm not like perfectionist, but I could have done more to prepare and I wasn't there. So I didn't want to like kind of half ass it, if that makes sense. Um, because it's not really the content that I'm trying to show. I'm trying to show that yes, I am learning and yes, I am new to playing the sax, but just persistence is key, and practice is key. And I kind of really wasn't doing that last week, so I thought it wouldn't be a good look to show that, even though I keep talking about it. Kind of had to weigh the options. So I just kind of talked about why I got interested in playing the saxophone, my journey from going from instrument to instrument to instrument, not being able to read the music, but just kind of playing by ear, and now teaching myself and things like that. So it's pretty interesting. Definitely check it out. I've kind of made this my thing with the sax sessions and pure sessions to kind of make each show under 40 minutes. Last night went a little over because I was talking a lot, but with pure sessions, my goal is to make it under 40 minutes because I know sometimes I can talk on and on and on. And looking back at my episodes, I'm like, man, I talk for like an hour and a half. It's crazy. And it's just me. So that's my goal to you, my pledge to you, that I will try to make every episode under 40 minutes, especially if it's just me talking. It gets a little bit like redundant after a while, especially, it depends on what you're talking about. But for me, I know I can talk a lot, but you don't want to kind of like sound like you're dragging. So the saying, less is more, so but hello, I just wanted to say that. But yes, hello, welcome to Pure Sessions with your girl Lana. And I'm on Twitter, Facebook, Instagram, both Instagram pages, SoundCloud, YouTube, TikTok at Lana and Pure. But every episode of Pure Sessions is on at 8 on Thursdays now, live on YouTube, Alana and Pure, and live on my Instagram, Alana and Pure's Corner. And the saxophone jacks. Oh my gosh, the saxophone jam sax sessions. There we go. Are live every Wednesday at 8 on Alana and Pure's page on Instagram and Lana and Pure on YouTube. So that's kind of like the main days I'm kind of like active on the gram. Like I'll post, content here and content there, but just when I'm on for a long period of time is those 2 days. So definitely check it out. And I know I said before that I was going to give doing prayer sessions on Thursdays like a 2-week trial basis, which I did. And the feedback's been pretty cool. I think I might keep it on Thursdays because before I had it on Sundays and I felt that I really wasn't getting what I wanted having at the end of the week, especially on a Sunday. So I kind of rearranged and tweaked some things to move it to end of the week. So that's where we are now. But yeah, guys. So today's episode, because I switched it. I originally was going to have knowing who's real, I believe. But I switched it because just been things have been going on. I kind of want to talk about something kind of different, not totally different, but something else. So this is episode 41. This is going by really fast. I remember when I was just on episode 17 back in January. It's just going by very fast, which is a good thing. Progress. Also, on my main page and the business page, so to speak, in the bio. My website, you can check out my music, you can check out my saxophone jam sessions. And if you have any other questions, whether you need mixing or mastering, engineering, or just DJ tips, my website is www.lepentertainment.com, which is my label. So you can definitely check that out. It's in my bio. But I try to get on it at least once a month when I have new things coming out, and I try to put it on there so it doesn't look like it's the same, not boring, but the same old website. So I was able to tweak it and add the two new projects that I was working on, which is Experience Misinterpreters and A Time to Remember. So those are both on there. And as well as I added the sax jam sessions on there too. So you can definitely check that out. And yes, I am on TikTok. I never thought I would be on TikTok, but yes, it sucked me in. So you can definitely catch me on TikTok at Lana Pure as well too. But this is episode 41. And well, before I go into that, like I mentioned in the beginning, I try to say this in the beginning versus the end, because it's the beginning of what we're talking about. But I hope everybody had a good week. I know it's only Thursday because I said Wednesday earlier. I know it's only Thursday, but I hope you guys are able to relax, do something different. It's getting warmer out and later. The sun is staying out later, so hopefully you guys are enjoying this summer because it's officially summer as of Sunday. There we go. So I hope you guys have some good plans, safe plans at that. How are you guys doing with, everything being lifted? Are you still wearing the mask? Are you not wearing the mask? Have you gotten your shot yet? Are you not getting your shot? What's your thoughts? Definitely, feel free to write in the comments or message me, because I remember a couple months ago I said I was not going to get the shot. My family was going to wait till like later in the summer, but things just happened, and family, friends, and things like that were able to get us the shot because they're in that field. Nurses and workers. So we were able to get it. So I just want to let me know what your thoughts are on it. I know some people still aren't getting it; they're waiting, or they're just not going to get it at all. Because I know some people who have never gotten a flu shot or any type of shot, and they're not convinced. So let me know your thoughts. I'm free to listen. This is open space, so everybody has their own opinions and things like that. It's what really it's all about. And I hope you guys are able to regroup and reflect and just take in what's around you and go forward. With everything that's been going on, the days run together, the weeks run together, and the months run together. So time can kind of get past us, but sometimes if we can't help it, if we can just take a little 5-10 minutes throughout the day, or even if you can't do it daily, do it maybe at the end of the week or once a week, to just breathe, regroup, and just, because sometimes things just keep going, and then before you know it, it's like fall all over again. You're like, well, wait, what happened to the summer? So I just wanted to say that, because I've been one of those. Even though I'm not working, I am doing other things, and I've known myself to kind of just keep going, because you want to conclude what you're working on. But sometimes we need to, take a step back, take a minute back, and just breathe and woosah, and go on about the business. So this is episode 41, like I mentioned, and this is titled Introverts versus Extroverts. And the reason why I picked this, the reason why I put introverts first, because I'm introvert. It may not seem like it, but I'm beyond introvert. I mean, I've gotten better over the years. My eye contact has gotten much better, even with the cameras. Doing this live, I mentioned this before in a couple episodes. I like doing these live versus just doing an audio version or a pre-programmed episode, because for me, I can work on my confidence. I can work on, my speaking skills, my talking skills, and kind of interacting with, the audience, so to speak. Because, when you're just doing an audio version or the cameras aren't on, you could be doing a bunch of other things, and you don't have to worry about people looking at you. But since I do them live versus a pre-recording, you're doing it like in the now. So this has definitely helped me a little bit, day by day with my shyness and kind of like, not standoffishness, but like closed offness, because I'm very like reserved. I'm more so kind of like the people watcher, like the crowd watcher and things like that. Like I'm not a person who, and it's not against anybody else, it's just me personally. I haven't gotten to that comfortability spot yet. I'm one of those people who like, say for example, before COVID, back when we were going to bars and lounges and parties and things like that, I'm one of the people who would have to come with a friend or go out to eat with a friend, or if we're at the club or lounge or party, wherever, I'm not the person to like walk up to the person like, hey, how you doing? I'm so and so. I'm more of kind of like, I'll sit over here and you be over there. And if we interact, that's okay. If we don't, I'll be fine. Like, and it's not, people would always say that I'm very standoffish and kind of rude, but I'm like, I'm not. I promise I'm the nicest person, but it's just like, I don't know you yet. And my face may come off like I don't want to be bothered, but it's just more so me, just I guess, protecting myself and keeping myself close off, because that's how I've always been. And especially, when you're out in clubs and bars and lounges, you don't really know everybody. So we can't really just be like, hey, how you doing? How are you? It's not, I wish times were easier or simpler, but they're not, unfortunately. So for me, I'm very shy. I'm very like, I'm be over here, you be over there. And I'm not a person to speak up, like, especially in class. I remember a lot of times I would always sit in the back. I would always keep my head down. And if I had a question or if I knew an answer to something, I would never raise my hand because to ask it or answer it, because I always felt like people would be looking at me and judging me. And even though I knew the answer was right, somehow, somewhere, somebody in the classroom would make fun of me. So I'd be like, I'll just keep, to myself. And I struggle with that because, how classes and teachers are. Sometimes they want you to, interact in the classroom or answer the question. Or I used to hate having to get up and go to the chalkboard. Oh my God. Having to, answer the question, especially when it was with math. I can never do fractions to save my life. And I still can't. Even with Excel, it just does not work. It's a major dub. But yeah, I would hate having to go up to the chalkboard because everybody's looking at you. You have to either A, get the right answer, or B, have the wrong answer. And I would be like, okay, in my back, I would be like this. Like, say, this is my back, right? And then this is the chalkboard. And I'll be like this, plastered to the chalkboard and writing really quickly and then like running off, and the handwriting would be so small, like couldn't even see it. I would be very shy. You know what I'm saying? I would be very nervous. And for me, I would be like, stop looking at me. Don't look at me. Even when growing up and I'd be practicing, in the choir or doing an instrument or doing an arts and craft project or something like that, or even doing like a talent show at home, growing up or something like that, I would always say to my parents, don't look at me, don't look at me. Let me do this, look that way. It would be the weirdest thing. But like, I could not have people staring at me. I mean, granted, if you're like at a talent show, if you're singing or something, that's different. But like, I would be like, I'll stand in the back, like I'll be behind all these people, but I'm here. You can't see me, but I see you. I'm one of those people. And for years, I would struggle with it because I'm like, everybody's looking at me. Which also because I was tall too, so I would always want to I had bad posture growing up because I would always be ashamed. Not that anybody said anything. I just, for me, I felt so kind of like the odd one out, and I would always be hunched over, sitting in class, walking, standing, whatever. And I still have it now, but it's not as bad as when I was younger. I had very bad posture because I would always want to be like everybody else and kind of hunch my back over so I'm not like in the limelight. And back when I was being a dancer, they kind of tell you to stand up straight, move straight, keep your body, poised, they have the invisible string here. So you have to stand up straight like this. And even now I find myself doing that because, you're just prone to just sit like this. But sometimes, you got to sit up straight, stand up tall, have your head up high, walk with pride. And I never could get that motto. I would just be like, okay, I'm over here, don't bother me. But growing up, I had to work on having people look at me because yes, I was tall. I was tallest one in the classroom, but also, I had something important to say. And for me, I would always get so nervous when people would ask me to answer this question in math class or go to the chalkboard and write this. And I would be like, well, why is everybody staring at me? Like, I'm just here to answer this question. Don't look, it's fine. But a lot of times I would be like, oh, well, maybe it's okay if people are looking at me if they're trying to help me. Because for some reason, I would always think, even though nothing would be happening in classes or in my peers or whatever, that I was being judged constantly. Like, I felt like I was the tallest one in class. I wasn't like tiny. I was a little bit bigger than everybody else. And I felt like everybody was looking at me, and I'm on top of that, I'm very shy and quiet. I never was one to make friends like, instantly, kind of like, would have to happen over time. And I just had to grow out of that because I felt like, well, maybe I have something to say. It may not be, a lot, but I have something to say. And the people that I would gravitate, looking back on it now, that I would gravitate toward to hang out with were not like me at all. They were very extroverted. They were very, talkative. They were very outgoing. And over the years, I have some or I have noticed that I have a little outgoing traits depending on the person. Obviously depending on situation, depending on how long I've known the person or what, um, situation that I'm in. And for me, it takes me a very long time to get comfortable around somebody, because you don't know what their motives are. I was always saying people making fun of me, um, behind my back or in front of my face, how they would write, in school, they would pass those notes around or write about you in the school bathroom or, put notes in your locker. And I would always be prone to getting teased because, like I said, I was very shy. I was very quiet and I never really stood up for myself. Not that I was like trying to be extra. Just one, I didn't know how to fight, and two, I didn't never think that was the answer. But three, I just was not that type of person to like what is it like go looking for trouble or like start a fight or be disruptive in class or arguments or have like detention, things like that. And people would always pick on me because I guess they knew that I was like an easy target. I don't know, I just was like, I'm just here trying to learn, to leave me alone. But I never really had that voice, that voice that I have now to be like, hey, you can't do this. This is not cool. The saying, how would you like if it's done to you? Blah blah blah. But I would never speak up. I would always just, hold all that in as we do sometimes. And over the years, it would get worse because, when you hold things in, it kind of blows up in different spots and areas of your life. And it's like, whoa, where did that come from? Where did that outburst come from? But then it triggers something that has happened to you, growing up. And it's kind of like, oh, well, man, if I handled it, during that time, then maybe this situation the outcome of the situation would have been, different, if that makes sense. And sometimes, for me, I hate confrontations, I hate arguments, and I hate people being mad at me and vice versa. So I'm not one to just walk into that ass whooping. I'm not one to be like, hey, let's start an argument so we can go back and forth and yelling and screaming, because I'm not one to be the starter or the antagonist. I'm one of those, like, if you start yelling at me or screaming at me, I'm gonna start crying. That's just what it is. And not to sound like I'm a punk or anything. It's just I don't have that, I guess, that tough skin in a way. I'm just more so like I'm just here. So like leave me alone type of thing. And I would always, like I said before, I would always somehow, not on purpose, because I didn't know this word growing up. I mean, now I do, but I would always somehow be around people who were, like I said, very outgoing, talkative, very personable, kind of like not the spotlight of center of attention, but the one who people loved and always counted on, things like that. And then I was like always like the shy, quiet friend over here in the corner, like, hey, come over here. I'm over here. Just don't look at me, that type of thing. And for me, I'm like, why do I always like I was always a person to come to the table like second. Like I wouldn't, like if I had an idea about something, I would always, oh, that's stupid. Let me not say that for fear of rejection. But yet then somebody else would say, and I'm like, oh wait, I had that idea. And sometimes we are just prone to think that everything we're going to say is going to be rejected and everything we're going to say is going to be looked at as weird because it's different and other people don't understand it. People when they don't understand things, they think it's weird or stupid or lame. But yeah, at the same time, they had the same idea, but they just didn't want to say it. You know what I mean? Like, so for me, I'm a big introvert, like I said. But for the extroverts, I have a couple, I think, maybe like one extrovert personality, which is speaking my mind. Like I said, I don't know the total definitions of both, but I do know what I am, which is a big introvert. So it's like 97% introvert and like not and 3% extrovert. So I do know now growing up, not when I was younger, definitely. But now growing up, I'm very one of those people who, speaks what's on their mind and not kind of like quiet, standing back to people coming at you crazy. Because if you just let people just come at you crazy and just walk all over you, that's a pattern. People see that. That's a pattern. And you'll do that with everything in your life, whether it be at work, friends, relationships, family, things like that. It's a pattern if you just let people just walk all over you because A, you don't want to deal with a situation, B, rather just go away, or C, you're just not that kind of person to be like, hey, stop that. That's not cool. Which it takes a lot to kind of like step out of character. And then, like I said, nobody wants to be that person to be always complaining and nagging and just be like, you can't say anything around them because it's so sensitive. But like I said before, it's all about boundaries. What's that limit? What's that line? What you can't cross this line, I can't cross this line, and we'll be fine. And you don't have, like, you're the saying, you don't have to like the person, you just have to respect them. And if I'm this way, this is my personality, this is my, this is me, and then this is you, and you're all over the place. That's cool, but let's find a way to work together so we can A, be friends, B, be cordial, C, just keep it moving. Because doing it back and forth and then trying to change a person and then not understanding why they are the way they are is a whole different thing. But if you accept that person for being, let's say, quiet and shy and to themselves and kind of reserved, and you're the type of person who's outgoing and nice and sweet and kind of gets things done on the double, then that's cool. Opposites do attract, not just in relationships, romantic relationships, but sometimes they do work, in friendships. And once you find that balance between this is what you are, this is how you are, this is what you like, this is what you don't like, what you'll accept, what you won't accept, and et cetera, then I feel like things kind of, go a little bit more smoothly than just always getting upset because you never want to go out or you never want to do anything or you never speak up your mind or you're always yelling and you always want to start something and you're always, dramatic and things like that. So it has a balance. Everybody's personality is different. Everything in the pot can't all be the same. So sometimes we have to just kind of like pick a little bit of things that we want to deal with and get rid of the things that we don't want to deal with. And for me, for introverts, I'm kind of one of the types of people who are kind of like, whatever goes, whatever you want to do goes with me. It's fine with me, whatever works for you. And I've been so prone to saying that because it's just much easier than me having to explain myself. This is why the way I am. This is why I'm quiet. This is why I'm shy. I'm not that person to be so forthcoming and outgoing. I'm kind of over here. And if like the mood is right and the feeling is right, then okay, I'll go for it. But I'm not like just to jump at it. I mean, I've been trying to work on being a little bit out of my shell. It's like this is a little bit out of my shell, but most times I'm kind of just like it's comfortable over here. Let me just stay here. And then if this happens again, and if this moment happens again, then it's meant for me. Because like I mentioned before, what's meant for you is meant for you. Sometimes we can force things, other times we can't. But the minute we start kind of like stepping out of ourselves, kind of doing things that's not the norm that we're mostly comfortable with, then I feel like it gets a little tricky because you're doing things that's not really you. And people, who know you know that's not her, that's not him. He won't do that. She never will do that. She's just acting out. Then you start becoming somebody that you're not. And nobody wants to become fake. Nobody wants to hang around somebody who's fake or doing the most or being extra, things like that. Just be yourself, be what God made you to be because God made everybody how they're supposed to be. Even though people might tell you 1,000 times different, you are the way you are for a reason. There's a purpose for you to be the way you are in a situation and in your life and who you come across and who you touch and who you dismiss and who you connect with and who you distance yourself from. Everything, connects. God made everything to connect in some way or form. And it may come or you may realize that much, much later in life. You might realize that in like an epiphany moment, or you might just realize that when somebody says something differently and you're like, hey, I don't need this in my life. Let me go over here. Let me go deal with this and move and groove with this versus this negative bubble, this cloud over here, because all that extra stuff will still be there while you're still growing and building and getting stronger and beautiful and great and things like that. You kind of got to elevate. You can't just stay in the norm and staying the same. And being an introvert is okay. Being an extrovert is okay. Being both is great too. Or being neither of them is all right too. You can be your own person, whatever it is. And oftentimes we get criticized, introverts and extroverts, people and blah, 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 personalities and things like that for being the way that we are as looked at as why are we not like you? Why are we not doing things like how you're doing? Why are you not doing things like how I'm doing? Blah, 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 back and forth. But like, why does it have to be that way? It could just be I'm quiet, I'm shy, I'm to myself. We'll kick it. I don't like to go out that much. I'm fine with that. Being home, watching movies, things like that. And you're kind of like the party goer, the doer, the planner, the one who makes friends, who has long lasting friends, who did all these clubs, who's kind of not shy and things like that, and still work. That's the thing. That's the thing that's sometimes missing in society and things like that is people who are opposite can still work together. People who are opposite can still cope, and live together. But when you get to the point where you're judging the person constantly and you're putting down the person constantly and you're bullying the person or acting out because this is how they are, then it's not really healthy. Like it's not really, what's the point of doing all that if this is really how you are? And then this is when people start dropping people. And this is when people start moving in different circles. And this is when people start doing their own thing, because it's like, why do I have to still, after all these years, after all this time, after explaining yourself over and over again, have to adjust myself to fit into your world where neither of us need to adjust ourselves. We can just live. We can just, be. And it becomes easier when we do that, because it's just easier. There's no real reason. It's when there's less stress, it's just much easier, in my opinion. And I feel like when we pull back the layers of wanting to do all this other stuff and kind of change the person and kind of control the person, then it gets a little tricky. But at the same time, you still have your peace of mind and your peace of soul and your being when you're yourself, versus trying to please, everybody else, and trying to change for this person and trying to change for that person. You know what I'm saying? That's just my view on it. And for an introvert as such as I am, I've kind of just learned to live with it. Like I said, growing up, it was very difficult being picked on, being shy, being quiet, and not the one to like stand up or be the one to speak out first or things like that. But as time went on and as I got older, and I kind of found my niche, my path, and what it was supposed to be, I kind of like, hey, this is kind of cool. I kind of like being reserved. I kind of like being shy. I kind of like being how I am, because it's me. I'm me. You know what I mean? Like you're a beautiful specimen that God created to put on this earth to do great things. And if anybody else can't, understand that or deal with that, then that's their problem. You have to get to the point in your life, whether you're introvert, extrovert, old, young, whatever, guy, girl, whatever, to the point where if you can't please everybody, then that's okay. Sometimes everybody does not need to be pleased. You know what I'm saying? Not everybody needs to be talked out to, be adjusted to, be worked out with, and the list goes on and on and on. If you just need to you tell them once, or you're doing something once or twice, that's fine. But if it keeps, going on and on and on, then it's like, really, it's not helping anything, because you're kind of still staying here, which is the goal, that they want you to just stay stagnant. But when you get to the point of realizing that you're great, when you get to the point that you realize you don't need this person or this job or this place or this friend or this environment, and you can still thrive and you can still grow and you can still build, then it becomes a whole beautiful, more stressless thing when you realize that this is what I have to offer to this person or to this job or this company or this relationship, this friendship, or whatever it is. And then you lean back on faith. You build on friends, you build on trust, and you build on, centering what's important and taking out all the other minutia. That's my new word, minutia stuff. When you have all this other stuff that's just there and just in your ear and buzzing and things like that, then it's not really worth, if that makes sense. So if, like I said, if you're an extrovert, that's fine. If you're an introvert, that's also fine. It comes to the point, you have to get to the point where you're like, I'm okay with being how I am, and I'm great. And you're okay with being how you are, and that's also great. Now let's work. You know what I mean? So it gets easier, if that makes sense, when you accept who you are and you accept others. I feel like when we're so busy trying to one up somebody, or we're so busy trying to change somebody, then it gets complicated. But when we're just enjoying the presence of the person or enjoying what life has to offer, and we're doing the best that we can in life, then I think it just becomes smoother, if that makes sense. You know what I mean? So that's just my I don't want to say 2 cents, because it's much longer than 2 minutes or 2 cents, but my little speech being an introvert, being an extrovert, being okay with it, understanding who you are as a person, because that's really what matters, understanding who you are and being okay with who you are, and understanding that you have something to give. You have something that has value and meaning, and you have something that can contribute to society. Because if they don't like who you are, people don't like who you are, then that's fine. You keep it moving. If they don't understand what you're doing to better yourself, that's understandable. You keep it moving. If they don't see why you have to cut them off or do this differently and move over here, or start this thing or don't start this thing, then that's fine. You have to do, just like everybody else has to do, what's best for themselves, not to please everybody else. That makes sense. But yeah, so this one, like I said, look, under 40 minutes is about 30 minutes. Normally it's like 42 minutes, but I want to make this one a little bit shorter. But yeah, guys, that's about it. I just wanted to give my little 2, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10 cents on introverts, extroverts, loving yourself, being the best that you can, and just going, just being, just live your life. But yeah, guys, that's about it. But I'm on Twitter, Instagram, Facebook, SoundCloud, YouTube, and TikTok at Lana and Pure. And tune in next week for another episode of Pure Sessions. And do something today that you didn't do the day before. Peace.